Hello everyone and welcome to English 1510. This is going to be for online asynchronous courses. There are a few different versions of them that these overview videos, particularly in the first weeks, will cover. That cover for more than one section. This is true of every term. I am usually in the process of redoing most of them per year, but some of these, just note, are used at different semesters year to year and for different classes. This is a course running of classes that go 8-week, 12-week, and 16, so please make note of which one you have. You'll see this particular section here is a 16-week course. There are going to be 12-week and 8-week this semester too. This is just laid out on one of the ones that's particularly for one of the 16s. That's not going to change anything about the weeks that these are used in consort with the different classes. So one of the things to note here, guys, is everyone's layout will be the same on these. I do not make students go through a number of things that are in the content files that are not supplemental, besides the syllabus and some other elements there that are slides and things that are available for you guys from class to class. By the time courses are open, those will be visible on that end. So if you are to go to your content file at the start of the course, you know, there are a number of documents that will be available here and resources, number one being syllabus on this. Make sure that you note, students, it is the student responsibility to review the syllabus, all course documentation, including your student agreement from the student handbook, things like academic honesty and things like that that concern plagiarism, student responsibility, code of conduct, ethics, all those other elements. The syllabus for the course listed here, it's going to be pretty standard. It changes slightly throughout the semesters, not a great deal, besides some policies on these. You'll note that I have by appointment dates on Monday and Wednesday. Please make sure that if you do need those, make sure that you do message me. The instant messaging at the top of the page here is what we use for discussion and communications in the class. Quick note on that, make sure that we know this and have watched those other videos on there. If you do need to come in on a Tuesday, I do have face-to-face classes that I'm contending with, so usually most of my face-to-face students do eat up the appointment times as well. So make sure that if you are planning on coming to campus, you're not regularly on campus, you're an online-only student or a hybrid or anything along those lines, make sure that you reach out for an appointment date and time just to be sure. Some of the things on here I want to note beyond just the assignment schedule on this won't vary much for the students in this class. It should be pretty consistent with what you see here. The diagnostic writing, some in-class things. The in-class things are going to, obviously for students in an online class, it's going to be the discussion boards and participation in those. There will be at least 2 different online quizzes that are assigned in the upcoming weeks when we're dealing with rhetorical analysis, and then some through research. Those will be launched up here at the top of your page under the quizzes. They will also show up in your assignment schedule. But I want to note for this, guys, on assignment policies and procedures, obviously with these attendance issues, you should pay attention to the work things on here. I don't accept late work without some type of documentable circumstance. And then in the workshopping things, we will have peer review forums here done in the discussion boards, and those are not optional. The main thing I want to point out on here that makes sure everyone has reviewed, only submitting original work. The issues with ChatGPT and generative AI, I want to give as much warning as I can on this, but every term I still go into the same issues with students over and over on these. You'll see on here the face-to-face thing that's listed on this. I am maintaining now a zero tolerance policy on this, which means that if I have flagged files, and let me be very clear about what I mean here, we now have a multi-tiered evaluation process that goes through the submissions, and it detects everything from Grammarly to Quillbot, anything that's generative AI, where it's doing the writing for the students. And in college-level composition courses, I know that some students run into different requirements and allowances. I don't make any exceptions for any of these, particularly since it's been such an issue the last 3 or 4 years, where the students who do violate these policies end up taking up most of our time. If a file, as of today, and regardless of what time frame this video is for what class, I've had 100% confirmation of all cases I've dealt with in the last 2.5 years. I've dealt with it a little bit longer because we've actually, some of us had wind of this before generative AI was released to the public. So I've been familiar with screening for it and also detecting and going through other elements that can show up on the pages and the coding as well. So I want to make sure that we're very clear on this. If I get a detected file on here and it gets flagged and I go through other partial verifications and it's determined that it was something used in that way, I'm not giving students options for other things. This is eating up more and more of our time that we simply don't have in our schedules. And for mine, they will be passed along to administration, and you can deal with the zeros on those ends. Don't violate these policies, and you won't have to face those consequences. And again, that includes Grammarly. Be forewarned on here. Those things are all listed in my policies. This is not include but not limited to Grammarly, ChatGPT, Quillbot, Grammarly Plus. Any of those are listed on the course schedule too. Make sure you're not doing these things. You can't use Google Translate to pass a class. You must be able to do these things on your own. And all of these things show up on there. And I know that you guys get information from other students and other people in courses about other ways they'll pass through. They don't work. Someone may have chosen not to screen yours or send it through. I do with every assignment. Every element of every assignment, including the templates and drafts, I have every single thing screened. If I catch any of those on there, it's a 0. All right? So let's just make sure that we're on that starting point. We all know we're talking the same, technical points on these. Now, back to the home page on this. I have this listing on here about communications. Make sure you watch that video. I'm going to have this will be listed now as 2 of 2 beneath this one. It'll launch with this one. Communications policy listed here in the syllabus and in your course schedule information. I only communicate with the instant messaging, which was designed for these classes specifically to be the direct link between instructor and the students, as well as the students with one another. Now, you'll see that the course schedule and tentative plan of work, I had listed that I'd launch the 4 days. Are the first 4 weeks. In these semesters now, I've been putting it closer to a 6-week mark. Not that something can't change in these, but remember, I would never move anything up on you. I would only push it back if something happens with a number of students, or if I have something in my grading schedule that prohibits me from getting all the way through some of these. So make sure that you make note of those, guys. I have this listed, and the course schedule will always be listed here, right here on the main page, with everything that's due. You won't have to, in these classes, you won't have to go to the content file and look up modules. Everything will be listed here for each week. There will be an overview video here at the opening of this page, as you will see with this one. You will see that after a week passes, I will move, for instance, this week you're going to have this video and the one that you're reviewing right now posted at the top. And week 2, you'll see this video moved down here with this note with the some videos are created during prior terms. You'll see that move down here during week 2 so that you still always have access to every week's overview video. And week 2 overview will then appear for 1 week at the top of this page covering all the content for that week. All right. For individual assignments, if we go down through the scheduling on this, we'll note that for week 1, you have the writing assignments that are due and reading things that are listed. There's nothing due from the textbook this week. The textbook content, this was initial week content launch announcement about these. These will be launched by 6 p.m., at least for this one. Some of you may see yours posted by 6:30. It's just having time to process through the system. But the contact and course information that was already listed up here last week, make sure that you note, even sending me instant messages through that envelope at the top, list your first and last name at first and your course and section number so that I know where you're at. I have 5 of these in just one section area alone, sometimes more than that per term, right now 5. But course opening, these informational things will be listed like this. at least 4 weeks launch at a time. Usually I do a little bit more. Textbook information was listed here. This is the one that's in the bookstore, and you can get these new and used. It's the most current edition. But folks, anything, make sure you read these over. Anything that you can find that's the most affordable. I have just viewed through these again, $3, $4 a copy for second and third editions of the brief editions. I can work with any of those, and as you'll see in the upcoming course schedule here, when we get to those, I try to list those readings for each one of those. And if there's something unique you have that you found, if it's second, third, or fourth edition, let me know. I can typically work with it. Now, for the week 1 writing, you have the forms that are already open in the Dropbox, the FERPA form and the academic honesty form. I need those filled out. You can simply do those by hand, take pictures of them, only if you know how to submit a file that's viewable in here. Don't send me Apple files or things from iOS or anything like that. Or you can just download these as the Word documents they are, save them as Word documents, and just type your name and date and information on them, save them, and re-upload them as Word documents. That's the preferred way. The diagnostic writing that's due by Sunday, this piece here, everything must remain, as it says in the reading, everything must be in Microsoft Word. So even if it's a 365 account, we don't accept anything from Pages, WordPad, Google Docs, PDFs, anything else. Any of those other files, I will not accept them. They don't process through our system to begin with, cause a number of flaws in readability and the feedback platform. So if you want feedback on your summaries, outlines, and some of the drafts, remember most of your rough drafting stages, it's going to be peer review elements. But if you want to receive grades and feedback on those things, you got to make sure I get files that are accessible on my end. So if you don't have Microsoft Word, you can use the link, create your own free student version, use 365, but they must be submitted in that way. This diagnostic template, I'll go to that in a second, and then the first thing here, their first discussion board, is just class introductions. For all of your discussion boards, you're going to have 2 elements to it. One is a posting of your own, and then review of a classmate's. In this one, it's a post of your introduction to the classmates and then a response to your classmates. Students who do not do both on each one of these discussion boards, you don't receive credit for any of those. The discussion board postings are typically due by Mondays after a draft. This instance here, this is the first one for just class introductions. It was moved to the Tuesday because of the Labor Day holiday. Okay, so note these different elements on here. Every week you'll have your week listing of the review content, everything that's due in the reading and writing. Make sure that you know it on the templates and summaries. This week you guys have the diagnostic one. Do not make any changes to the format, file type, or layout of my templates. If I get those submitted and they look anything other than what I made and assigned to you, I don't accept them. They're designed for a reason, the way they are for a reason. That includes screening elements and embedded coding. Do not mess with them at all. If I get anything other than what I gave to you on those and filled out in any other way than what is assigned, I will simply put a 0 on there. Sometimes I'll put a 1 or a 2 on there and give you a note stating that this was changed. I need a resubmission, and sometimes we'll give a window on those. But if it was deliberately changed to try and do something with my screening software, I simply will go through and flag it for that and mark it as a 0. Now, on these content overview and assignment files, textbook readings officially begin next week. So you'll see in week 2, as long as everybody has gotten their textbooks and things, these are the assignment pages that they're going to be in your reading depending on your edition. If it's the 4th edition, which most of you I know have already, go through, and these are going to be the first readings on this. And then the first assignment that you're actually doing that's going to be part of an original writing assignment for yourselves is going to be this memoir that starts in week 2. Week 3 here, you'll have our first instructional overview of doing a discussion board for one of the assignments, and I'll cover that in that week. So for week 1, your first elements here, you got your academic and honesty form. The form is here. You just click on that. You can, as I said, keep it as a Word document, fill it out, and submit it. The diagnostic writing portion, that's listed here. Make sure that you guys note this template. You should click on this. It'll download. It's a blank template that you guys can use. Oh, what did that just do to mine? It should go just like this, and that'll be what you guys fill out. Fill out in these categories. Make sure you do these to the best of your ability. Don't worry about whether or not you remember what major and minor supports are. Just do your best. Okay? Let me know if you got questions.